gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on Let's Talk, where we talk about issues that matter to you, where we try to come up with workable and practical solutions so we have more action and less talk.
Yes.
I'm your host, Jason, with my co-host,
Still Cheryl.
This evening, we are talking about a kind of serious topic. I mean, all our topics are serious. Are they?
Mostly, yeah.
Mostly. This one, I guess, a little more serious, and we would love to have your feedback on this. So
Yes.
give us a call on 352-8255, that's 352-8255, or drop a comment in the chat, and we'll respond to it or read it on the air live. Our topic for this evening is, should there be a separation of church and state? Now, I firstly think that we gotta actually define what that means for me. Because I know our listening audience, viewing audience, are quite learned. So I just want to be brought up to speed.
Right.
So just tell me, what does that entail? Separation of church and state, Miss Cheryl.
Oh, you were asking me that?
Yes.
You should have
And the viewers, you see, I didn't do it, but I just.
I know. A separation
And our
of church.
viewers, you could tell us what you think it means,
Yes,
or what it should
exactly.
mean.
Yes. But in my opinion, a separation of church is, simply put, that wherein the state or the government does not influence the activities of the church, the practice of the church, and how they're done, and the church does not influence the practice or the activity of law and how that's carried out. And
Wow.
and that's
In a nutshell.
in a nutshell, yes.
And that poses some pros and some cons.
Yes.
Definitely. When you have that separation, when one cannot influence the other.
Right.
And to me, I would think I would want my church to be able to influence what goes on in my country.
Absolutely. And that's where you'd have the problem, Jason, because the Muslim would want his church to influence what happens in the country. Then the Rastafarian would want his.
And the atheists, and
yes.
the witches, and the
And
warlocks,
everyone would
and
want.
the black Hebrews, and
right,
all of those.
exactly. And that's why, you have our government is a sovereign government and not a theocracy. A theocracy is where the Bible or whatever that book, the religious article or book runs, the country's run by what the letter of that. With our sovereign governance, it's run by a constitution. And the constitution stands on its own and is not influenced by anything other than that. But we see countries that are run by theocracies. And you see what's happening in Iran.
I was just about to say,
I think Saudi Arabia, those countries that are those are theocracies where the Bible or whatever not the Bible,
their religion,
their religious
dictates
book
what happens in their country.
Runs their the country. That is their constitution.
So, okay, so there also are some cons as well, because if the government does
Because everybody
not,
thinks their religion is the religion,
Yes,
right? And
right.
as Christians, I believe my religion and it should influence the
the laws that are being
Right.
governing the land.
And in some cases, I think it does, but and I think to a very large extent it does in our country. But we cannot say legally that we are a Christian nation, because we're not, because the Constitution strictly and clearly dictates that there is a freedom of religion.
Right. But so where does that come from, that we are a Christian nation? Because they used to say it, and now they dropped the word, we far from Christian
I think
now,
it comes from the preamble to the Constitution.
And do you want to read that preamble?
My gosh.
Since you said it.
I can't read it. It has a lot of big words. I don't want to.
A piece of it. Some of our legal eagles out there might be wanting to hear it,
Okay, it says, whereas the people of this family of islands do hereby affirm that the nation which is encompassed by these islands is founded upon spiritual values. Didn't say Christian, it said spiritual values. And in particular, a recognition of the supremacy of God, and believing that the preservation of their freedom will be guaranteed by a national commitment to self-discipline, industry, loyalty, unity, and an abiding respect for Christian values and the rule of law.
Christian values. So it mentioned Christian now.
An abiding respect for Christian values, yes, and the rule of law.
So, so they're kind of leaning towards a particular
So,
religion.
but it's stated though that the preamble here is a moral guide.
Just a guide.
It's just a moral guide. So so that in itself is not the law.
Right. So here in the Bahamas, do we have a separation of church and state?
Yes, we do have a separation of church and state. But even though we have, as was mentioned before, that in all of our practices, we have devotions, prayer at the beginning, and it's prayer to a Christian God.
Yes.
At the beginning.
Yes.
So you can say we can say then there is a little mixture here and there. However, there are many cases. For example, in 2014, there was a court case with a defense force officer who brought it to court that he was Muslim and he was forced to pray. And he took it to court and he won the case. And he had the right to practice his religion. In our school, we have in the past, there was a parent who stated that he did not want his child to have religious studies class.
Right.
And the child was exempted.
Right.
Because at least when the studies where he had to do Christian that aspect. And it's mostly that. But we cannot force, and even though religious studies is a subject in all schools, if they're serious and they put their foot down and say, I don't want my child to do that, then we don't have to.
Right.
They can't be forced.
Because as of late, I've seen, not in my time, but I've seen as of late, Rastafarians in school, the kids whose parents practice Rastafarianism in school, you go to school with their hair tied up with turbans and stuff like that. And I was like, wow.
Yes.
Wow. And
they cannot be prevented from that.
Right. And it leads to, the separation of church and state. So, like you said, we do have a mixture. We say it with our mouth, but then we actually practice Christian values, and almost everything we do, we are very religious.
Right. We're very religious, and I think because when our country is a very small one, and Christianity is the majority. That's the majority. That the religion that's practiced mainly in our country. We have other religions, but Christians are the majority. And so you will find that it influences morality a lot. Yes. It influences our practices a lot. But and a lot of persons practice their own religion, but they don't go against the fray. If a Christian, whatever the practice is happening, they can excuse themselves most times without notice. Persons excuse themselves.
I'm going to be the little devil's advocate for you. I mean, I shouldn't be saying that as a Christian, right?
I know, right?
But let's just stir the pot a little. If we have a separation of church and state, and let's say my religion practices polygamy, that's the one where you have multiple wives? My religion practices that.
Right.
But your law says that's against the law. How do we handle stuff like that?
Oh, you mean okay?
I wanna have multiple wives, but your law now saying I can't do it. But this is my religion. You're telling me I'm free to practice my religion because there's a separation of church and state. But here you have it written into your law, something that goes against my religion
of the country. No.
So that's discrimination.
No, you can. Okay, here's the deal. You have the right. I mean, people are doing it now. I don't think they're calling it polygamy. But okay, here's where we have that. If the law of the country has to be upheld. Yes. Right, and persons who are licensed to practice to marry people, they have to uphold the law. Right. Now. And here's where we had an issue before. A person cannot be forced. Any religion, they cannot be forced to do something that is against their religion. Right. So, for example, a pastor cannot be forced to marry two males if it's against his religion. Right. Now, if this person who's practicing polygamy and he has someone who's willing to marry him and all his people, then he can do that. However, legally, it will not be observed because of the law of the land.
And that's my question. So they're saying one thing,
but it's not. There is still a separation of church and state because he has the right. But the letter of the law stands. The Constitution stands. That is not dependent. There's nowhere to say that that's dependent on the Christian law. There are many places in the Bible where you were. Where polygamy was accepted.
Yes. So I mean, I guess that'll be a case for court.
Right.
Right. Because now you're preventing me from practicing my religion.
We're just preventing you from being slack.
I don't think taking on two women is slack. Hats off to any fella who can take off more than one woman.
It's crazy.
Hats off to any man.
I know, right?
I salute you, my brother. So that ain't, yeah. I was just stirring the pot there for a second because.
But like how we do have a separation of church and state in our country, but we're not feeling it as much. So are you advocating for our, let's say, our law to be more influenced by, I think it's largely influenced, and even if not the law, our moral practices are largely influenced by the Christian church.
I agree that it is influenced by it, right? Now, because they're more or less upholding my beliefs.
Right.
So, but for the Muslim or the witches or anybody who practice any other type of religion, they may see it differently. Because I practice Christianity, and for more or less, our laws tend to lean towards that, even though they don't follow it.
Yeah, because I just learned. I'm sorry. Finish.
No, go ahead.
That you brought up Obeah. It's on the law. It's in the books. It's in the Constitution. There's a law against the practice of that.
See there?
Because it's I think I'm going to try to find it during the break and read it because I had to screenshot that. I never considered Obeah as a religion.
Oh yes,
it is a spiritual practice, but constitutionally it is against the law in the Bahamas, and you can actually be imprisoned for 3 months. Up to 3 months for practicing that. And I think there was another one that you can go to jail for up to a year because it was used to endanger people.
See, because voodoo is a religion. I think that's I'm trying to remember the real name for it, the technical name for it.
Yes.
But I think it's voodoo. And so it is a religion practiced by our neighbors in the south, deep south, down, so way south, and they brought it over.
I know it's practiced, but I as it relates to.
Yeah, a lot of funny little religions and things, so they're happening, spirituality. There are a lot of things popping up now with the rise of the internet and exposing us to so much different things. A lot of these little influences coming in. And so...
But when we talk selfishly, though, when we talk about separation of church and state, we only think about our church.
Yes.
We only think about our religion.
Yes.
So why would we want less of a separation of church and state when church is anything?
Exactly.
I think we are sitting in the best space
right now
as a country as it relates to the influence of the church on the state.
Yes, and the thing is, what will happen, what I pray never happens, is these other splinter religions gain traction, and now they start challenging the Constitution and saying, you're saying there's separation of church and state, but clearly you are practicing Christian rules and morals, right? So we need to keep quiet.
Absolutely. I was thinking that, exactly.
Before we, give them, hey, that's true, I can't.
Right.
And we keep, but no, we can never be scared.
And
we can never be scared.
I don't think it's being scared, but it's having an awareness of what's out there. And because I'm gonna call the Gen Zs question everything now.
Everything, yes.
And because they are the generation that were allowed not to go to church if they didn't want to, because the parents allowed them to sleep in.
Yep.
Their mental state was important. So they're questioning stuff, and they're of course it is. I'm not going to put air quotes on that, but it's a little too much.
I'd put air quotes on that.
Anyway,
I hope the producer didn't catch my face when you said that.
I did. That's why. Anyway, I see we have to take a commercial break, so we'll be back some more to talk more about separation of church and state or lack thereof.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Haley, and let's say what's going on. It's like a ping pong today. We have the gun range. We have the shooting cars. We have mini golf. Hole in one! We're at the Sniper Tower. I'm having a blast! So come on down to Sniper Paintball every Saturday and Sunday. You're gonna love it.
And we're back. We're talking about separation of church and state. And we were given some of the pros and cons as to why it should have a separation. And then we also realized that we, the Christians religion, have quite a bit of influence on our Constitution. And I think that's a good thing. Like Cheryl said, she agrees with me, but she was, before the break, we were saying that this Gen Z, they like to question everything, and they might be the ones that, why?
Yes.
You know, because like you said, they were allowed not to go to church. They're allowed to, they know not of our God. They don't know, right, they know not of our God.
Yeah,
because we allow them
because
to
of us, right?
just surf the net and watch TV party and all this stuff, and we give them an option as to get to know God, but we don't give them an option on getting their education. We don't give them an option on that. We make them go to get their education, right? But I guess they say we can't force them.
Yes.
You know, Jesus didn't force us. But
the
Bible said we're supposed to teach them at night, and they speak of it every day, night and day, so they never forget.
Right.
You know?
And if we're responsible people, if it's good for us, why isn't it good for them, Jason?
Mind you, I said it before, right? What's wrong? Tell me, show me what's wrong. And it's a challenge to any of you guys out there who may feel different. Show me what's wrong with following the examples that Jesus left. Tell me what's wrong with it. I read the Bible, going through it again, you know, this is my third time. And I have yet to find what's the disadvantage of following the examples that Jesus left.
And the thing is, a lot of non-Christians believe, not sure if we're straying or not, but a lot of non-Christians believe that us believing in the Bible or following the Bible is for life in heaven. It's to make our lives better on earth.
I'm telling you.
You know, it enriches your life and you have a way better life, a healthier life mentally.
Exactly.
You know,
mentally.
you are way more at peace. And if you are at peace, then your health is positively affected.
That's right.
You know, but I want to read this. Article 26 of the Constitution protects you from discrimination by ensuring that no law can be applied in a way that's afforded different treatment to different persons, wholly or mainly to their respective descriptions by creed, it says here. And that means that the government cannot pass any law at all that gives special privileges to Christians.
To Christians, right.
You know, and that's important. Or to Christians, or have it penalize any other religion.
I was going to say, but that's what they said. But right before the break, you said voodoo.
Yes.
There's a law against it.
But I said because
they use it to harm others.
Because it's used to harm people.
No, but I can argue that the alphabet community would say that our religion brings harm to them.
How?
Because we are preventing them from living the way they want to live.
Well, mental harm, is that what they're talking about, mental harm?
Yeah, because they're saying
it's not.
They can't, they say they love who they love, and they are not afforded to marry who they want to marry.
Okay.
You know, so they might be saying they have been discriminated against.
Well, we get enough Gen Zs in Parliament, we'll have that.
Oh, no. In the name of Jesus, I rebuke that. I mean, we're fast approaching that anyway.
Okay, yes. Section 145/240. Practicing Obeah as an Afro-Caribbean system of spiritual healing and rituals is illegal. And you can face up to 3 months in prison for practicing it, or attempting to use it to intimidate, steal, or inflict disease. Actually, Section 321 of the Constitution talks about blasphemy as it's a law against it. Publishing or selling blasphemous material is punishable by up to 2 years in prison.
So hold on now. So I could go out there, and I could actually tell the police and ask them to come and arrest people when I hear them blaspheming against my God. Because if it's in the law,
I don't know that it's against.
But they have to blaspheme against what?
It could be maybe against the government, against whatever. Yes, you can blaspheme against the government and maybe your people.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they didn't say who then.
No, they didn't say who, but if I guess it could be, you know what? It could be against God too, because then that means it's general. So blasphemy against any God.
Right.
That people, you know.
Ooh, so any God. Hold on, let me watch myself then.
If you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Because if we're looking at the Constitution, it recognizes everybody, every spiritual being that's being recognized
they have the right
as
to
God.
practice. But obviously not, because it's saying they cannot practice voodoo. And they said against people, they said healing. They said as a spiritual healing, that's what you said.
No, it says it's a system of spiritual healing and ritual.
Right. So practice of system. So if I'm trying to heal myself, if I'm using voodoo and to try to heal myself, I could go to jail because
because it says, it's. I thought it was only the use of it to intimidate, but practicing it, or attempting to use it to intimidate, steal, or inflict disease.
Right. So either way, once you practice in it, you could get
but the practice of it, I want to say that in history, when I read about it, it was for spiritual healing.
Right.
But now, based on what we hear of it, it's really just used to intimidate and harm people.
Right.
So I can see why it would be prohibited, the practice of it.
I mean, man, if they said for trying to use this for negativity, yeah. But if they said they include it even for using it for positive, which is healing.
I don't.
So that's discrimination in itself. You know, so I don't know. So obviously we don't have
for healing. Don't you have to make some sacrifice?
Well, I could sacrifice. Well, I don't know how they do it, so I don't even speculate.
Well, I'm glad you don't know, Jason.
Right.
I'd be a little worried if you did know.
I watch a lot of movies, you know, and if I raise chickens to eat, why can't I raise chickens to sacrifice?
All right, we're going far away.
So I don't know.
All right, let's separate from that church.
But seriously, so obviously we don't have a separation of church and state, even though they say it. We don't.
We do.
We don't, because it's right there, written right there in our Constitution. It's actually interfering in some religions. So it isn't. It's a play on word, and I don't want to give anybody any ideas or any points to go and try to sue to change it, but obviously we read it. Can't take it back now. But
I think the more people, when people feel like their rights, see, there is a separation of church and state, and it comes into play when people feel like their rights are being infringed upon.
Right.
People fight it when they feel like their rights are being infringed upon.
And
okay, it's just that you don't have that many people fighting it because of what they have to lose or gain.
Right.
But if you, we saw, usually Bahamians don't like court. You have to kill somebody or do something to harm them.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people would go. The Muslim guy. That might be the only one on the books, because I was looking for other examples and I couldn't find any. But he's the only one on the books for taking the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to court, so that he can practice his Muslim religion. He did not have to practice the Christian religion while he was on the force.
Well, I know, and I guess they were, like you said, they were forcing him to practice our religion.
Right.
Right. So that's why he had a problem with it. Because I know they have mosques in Nassau. Maybe they may have a one. I don't know if they have multiple.
But because he was a part of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force,
he couldn't practice it, and they forced them to participate.
To participate.
And
And just like that too, in schools, we cannot force children. You know how you have morning devotions in the morning and you pray. You cannot force children to participate in that.
Wow, that's so sad.
I believe that it's sad too, Jason, because a lot of our, the children's character is built.
Yes.
The Bible teaches morality.
Yes.
Outside of everything, it teaches morality, and you have a lot of persons who are not even Christians who live by these moral practices and principles, and it has been helpful to them. Their life has been at an advantage.
Yes, and the mere fact that we are allowing these children to not engage in these practices,
right?
It's evident that society is declining.
Yeah.
The moral fabric of society is declining, and it's because we are doing away, or we're giving them too much freedom to not engage in these practices.
Right. And I think that's why the government may be more lenient on on the practice of it. That's why there hasn't been any, and nobody's standing out against it, because they understand the value of it.
Yes.
And when you have moral people, then you have less crimes.
Yes.
You have a more structured social construct in the country. So they understand the importance of having these religious foundational beliefs.
One may argue that if they enforce the laws that are on the books, then we may not have to lean so much on the Christian values if they enforce the laws. But the laws are derived from
Christian
values.
Exactly, because we have our people, most of the persons who brought the Constitution to life were Christians.
And not just
and yes, and even when we have bylaws, when we have to have new laws, and we have referendums, then we want things to be changed because of the moral values of people. People will vote against the law even if they're not a Christian because it's the right thing.
Yes.
Remember with the marijuana, there was something with that, and then it was something else. And people will vote against something legalizing gambling, even though the vote didn't carry because they did whatever they wanted anyway.
Right.
But people make moral decisions.
Yes, but I think if they bring those laws back now, they might get what they want, because the moral fiber is really decaying.
But you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. A lot of us are, we're doing garbage, we practice garbage, but when it comes to the letter of the law, we want it. No, do the right thing. Believe it or not, we sober up real quickly and say, okay, do that.
Yes.
You know.
So we like, again, the separation of church and state, we say there is one, but then we have this thing called the Christian Council, which influences, at least I don't know if they still have the teeth they had back in the day.
They don't.
But I remember
know who
the
the people
teeth.
are.
Yeah, I remember they had some teeth. Oh man, growing up, I couldn't stand the Christian Council because
Because you were a bad man.
Because I wasn't a bad man. I felt they were just taking away a lot of my freedoms, things that I wanted to see and watch and participate. Some movies they stop from coming. Some concerts they stop from coming happening. And I was like, why they just don't go stay in the church? Why they all about messing with
And believe it or not, and that's why you need that influence.
Yes.
You need the influence of the Christian Council to hold the feet to the fire. We're talking about morality of a nation.
Yes.
You understand? So look at you now, good God-fearing man, leading his family and leading people on the job. So thank you, Christian Council.
Where would I have been?
But and this is why you want a separation of church and state, Jason, because you're just looking at how the church influences the government. But if there's no separation of church and state, the government influences the church, the practice of religion.
It goes both ways. Yeah.
Exactly. But a lot of times.
Do we want, suppose we get somebody up and high up our prime minister who now believes in the practice of witchcraft.
Yes.
And if there's no separation of church and state, then he'd be like, okay, the new religion of the Bahamas is now witchcraft.
He cannot say it by himself. We'll have to vote.
I'm just saying.
But because people's personal beliefs, when they're in power, does it trickle down? Their influence trickles down to around
definitely.
them. So
It'll come out. Whatever end will come out.
So we have, like I was saying before, we have the best case scenario where there is a separation of church and state, but there kind of isn't.
We say there is one, but we know there isn't.
There is one.
So we got to take a quick commercial break, and we hope to hear from you on the next side. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Greetings and welcome to Superior Talk Bahamas. I am Yvette Swain here with the Sword Sharpeners Prayer Network. Please be sure to join us every Monday at 6 p.m. and we will share the Word of God with you. That is Mondays at 6 p.m. right here on Superior Talk Bahamas with the Sword Sharpeners Prayer Network. We look forward to seeing you then. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Oh, wow. Mr. Producer, Cheryl needs some water.
I'm telling you, have these empty cups on this thing.
So welcome back, guys. We are talking about the separation of church and state. And on the books, we have that separation of church and state. But as we talk, as this conversation carries on, we realize that we really don't have a real separation of church and state.
You're on your own. I believe that we just have
and guess what? I'm not complaining about it.
So what? I was gonna ask you that. What do you want? What would you prefer?
In fact, I wish we would have more influence over our political affairs.
How?
More listen, the way you see some governance, some things that happen in governments, there's some decisions that are made, you'll be like, ain't no God in that.
Like what?
Ain't no God in that. I won't say, because if I start saying, then you'll hear, oh, he pointing fingers at a political party.
Okay.
And so I don't say,
But
but
usually
we
the
know.
persons who are there, I mean, if you have examples, we've seen them over the years. But yeah, some decisions that are greedy and selfish.
Yes, we know.
Yeah.
We know that some decisions the government made are not in the people's interest. We know that some backdoor deals, somebody getting some kickback. It's
Right.
some policies are made just to influence the higher ups.
Right.
They give exemptions on certain things.
Yes.
Like, but who in the world got a tank? They can give, or there's a exemption, zero exemption on military tanks. And you'd be like,
Yeah.
nobody got no military
yeah.
tank until you hear.
You don't have any,
I don't
but
know,
yeah.
but then you hear an MP bringing in one military tank.
Yeah.
So you all know, if you all hear me what I say,
Yeah,
you all know
you-
exactly what I'm referring to.
Yeah, you have it on boats and things.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, you get boats.
No,
You might be able to get
but
things
hold
in.
on. We are a fishing village, so I can see them doing that for certain crafts.
We're not
Sailing
We're not
craft.
talking about that kind. We're talking about the luxury.
Yeah.
Look up
You
for
gonna
the
bring
people
me?
that
You try
wish
to
it.
bring me into it, so I gotta
Oh, you're
clarify.
trying to-
Take me my little dinghy, but I gotta be rowing about the place. So yeah.
But
So
yeah.
sometimes you would want
But you can't have it all, Jason.
No, you can't. And Jesus himself did not try to go and make,
Yeah.
to try to combine
Right.
it.
He said, "Right unto Caesar what is
unto
Caesar,
Caesar, and God what is God." So,
yeah.
and he didn't influence or tell his followers that, hey, now we got to try go and influence the government and try take over the government. He said, no, I come to set up my kingdom,
Right.
not this kingdom.
Right.
So we should follow suit. I would like it to be a little bit more influence, just because it's just to try to keep them honest.
Right.
But hey, we take it as it comes.
Right. That's true. And there are enough of us to influence.
Voters,
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we put them there, we can influence that way because we
Yes.
decide who gets there.
Yes.
And so when we are making decisions, sadly we don't make those decisions based on character.
Yes.
Because the character of some of these people, they're not good enough to clean poop. But they are running the country. You know what I mean? And me, who might tell a white lie once a month.
Listen.
Because outside
Listen.
of that, I'm just an angel.
Listen. Yeah. Right.
And I'm
Sure,
villainized.
pick that up. Pick that up.
I don't know what
That's
you're talking about.
Your tongue drop on the ground.
But-
Bite your tongue. Yes.
We will, but those of us who are close, you judge the person so harshly, the person close to you. You judge them so harshly. And we have people who are blatantly doing things disregarding,
Blatant.
disrespect, and abuse the resources, abuse while people are suffering.
Yes.
$1 million in travel expenses.
Crazy.
When you have people who are living on $260 a week with children and rent and all those things. And we have our politicians spending $1 million.
Lavishly.
Yeah.
And
so
just-
I'm straying, but
Yeah, no, you
I'm
go ahead,
saying,
because I was
you
ready to jump on that soapbox with you, because I hate to see the mismanagement of our VAT money, because that's exactly what they spend in our VAT.
yeah.
And you hear and you see people out there actually bleeding. I mean physical bleeding, but they're
Yes.
bleeding, they're poor, and they're
Yes.
hurting. And I
They're
just
hurting.
recently heard of a story of this elderly lady whose daughter died, and she ended up taking on the daughter's sons who are on the spectrum. They're special.
Wow.
And this elderly lady now have to go back into the workforce to take care of them. She's seeking social assistance. They only gave it to her for one child, and these boys are teenagers. So they can't justify where they can't give it for $2. So she has to make it on $260 for the month.
Sir. No,
So
sir.
she's trying to make it. She relies on the church. She done been talking to every politician she could, and everybody's saying they can get back to her. Nobody get back to her. So, but yet they spending all this money traveling.
Yes.
Welcome to Let's Talk Caller. You alive?
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Vito?
Man, they trying to call, but I know one system was acting up.
I know. We ain't gonna call the name because I know who causing that, but we ain't gonna throw them under the bus like that.
It's the producer.
Good. I just said it right, and that one of the things like I wanted to point take catch on, like, you know, like just say the church influence supposed to be over the government. Let's be honest now with ourselves. Today, government is influenced by culture as well as the church. I can be honest with you. We can even say the church. The church also is influenced by culture, more or less, like, because we see a lot of trips, so there's decision made, and, you know, and that's all churches. That's in general, not pointing fingers at no particular. You know, if you look at it the way we grew up, I ain't gonna say how old we is, but we got to live. We grew up in a different form of church to where church is today.
Right.
And it's almost like the culture has an influence even with government. Government today, they're more influenced by culture than the church mandated decision. You know, and it almost like, it look at it just say, well, you know, we need to why follow the church when the church kind of influenced by the culture also. You understand? And then, me personally, I don't think it was ever designed for any country to be led by church values, Christian values, to be honest with you. Because, you know, Jesus almost said it in himself, and he said, hey, let Caesar give on the Caesar what is owed to Caesar. Like, he never got conflicted with government. He never got into issues and so on, you know. It's almost like he said, hey, like when the devil was offering him all these things, he acknowledged that, yeah, he give me these things, but my kingdom ain't of this world.
Right.
So as long as that he made it clear, like, things of this world could be the things of this world.
That's true.
You know, but you as an individual, you have to find your own morals. You have to find your way to follow me as he did. You understand what I'm saying? So I look at it like to say, you know, because whenever I see persons with, you know, government and the church, and I was like, and I could be wrong. I can say I'm of the opinion. I don't think it was ever meant to be led by, you know, so sometimes we get too caught up in it. And then, you know, even it was another point with government spending and so on. We talk about, that's just as me. We talk about, like, stuff, negative part of governments and all government in reference to spending, but we don't never acknowledge the stuff that they do. Like, we can say right there in Grandmama, over 100 homes being repaired by the government. Nobody talking about that.
Right.
Nobody, not a soul. And it's like, this factual information, you know, with persons who own, and these persons who own were destroyed by Dorian and Matthew. But we said, like to say, oh, the government just spending money traveling. No, they doing other things. Like, there's a lot of parts, like the road works, and there's people might say, oh, that's small. I just like to be fair.
You're supposed to do that, though.
Yeah, I understand they're supposed to, but when it's like we just overlook it. Like to say, oh, yeah, they're supposed to do it. But you don't actually acknowledge and say, you know what? Yeah, they're actually taking money and spending it where it's supposed to be spent. We just like to factor in, you know, the overspend. And I think that's the day and age right now where it's government more careful on how they spend. Because information is so easy to find out and pull up, literally, because of social media and so on.
Yeah.
So I just say, like I could be wrong, I could be opinion based, but I just like to stick in the narrative like this, you know. At the same time, we point out the faults, just acknowledge, you know, because guess what? You know, the church right now, the church is seen as in a bad light from a lot of common persons who don't enter the church. But we like to ignore that and say, oh no, come to the church. When people like, no, but that's what y'all present. Like when that video came up with Drewski, I was like, what you mad for? Like, this was, he only mimicked like what they did.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like, why you mad at them for doing something that was already done? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think like us, we always have to remember to just like say, hey, listen, let's try to look into things, not just the negative. Let's just try to feel the reality and not more of opinion. You get what I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But I enjoy the combo. I watch it from my phone, but I make sure these phone lines rushing so I can be on point with my point.
Yeah, Mr.
We do
Producer.
apologize. We do apologize.
Yes,
but I
yes,
don't think
yes.
that's on our end. I think that's on your end. But I can leave that right there.
Ouch.
There you go.
Okay.
Thanks for calling, Vito. We really appreciate it, man.
Okay.
But, he made a lot of good points.
Yeah.
But to his thing, the laws from the governments, what they do enforce, come from Christian values. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I would go as to say is to keep the church
keep
out
the
of government,
church,
right? Because without the church, we would not have the laws that govern the land today. Which the laws that came from the Bible was for everybody to be safe, for everybody to be treated fairly. So that's where they get these laws from.
Right.
Absent that, chaos and the strong, what do you say, the strong survive. Dog eat dog.
Right.
Get what you
That's
want.
true.
If you don't have those laws, which came from Christianity, the Ten Commandments, that's where most of the laws derive from. Respecting people's property, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
Right.
And then Jesus came and just added to that, treat your brother like how you treat yourself,
Right.
being able, and don't covet your wife and all this stuff. So these laws, what we have on the books, come from Christian value.
Yeah.
So you can't ignore that. And I agree with you saying about,
Giving a balanced view.
getting a balanced view. And we got to do that in the
have to-
church as well. Because, you want a
maybe,
balanced view for government.
right.
But then when they come speaking about the church, it's always the church ain't doing this and they made the church that and blah, blah, blah. So it needs to be balanced all around.
Right.
I agree with him.
That's true, because a lot of times you hear that's what you hear, what the government's not doing and what
Yes.
what the church is not doing.
And just to add to that, I just learned today of some projects that the government is doing, but that's
Really, what are they?
those it's their bad PR, and I always say this government always have bad PR. Some buildings, some dilapidated buildings off Ponce de Leon, I forget the name, a complex. The government bought them, renovated them, and now it's for homes for the less fortunate. I think he said it was social housing.
Okay.
So and
Nice.
they're supposed to
That's
do it right, and they're supposed to do it to not Johnson Court. If you go on Pioneers Way, those bunch of apartments on there. I hear they were looking at those.
That's excellent.
They were
because
doing
you
it
do
in the
have-
Garden
yeah.
Villas area. For those who don't know, Garden Villas, the ghetto, they want to do the same thing in the ghetto area. Like just take them down and refurbish them or renovate them so that it could be for low income or
Right. Or people who need that, because
Right.
that exists in Nassau.
yes.
Where you up to 3 months until you get back
Right.
on your feet.
Right.
Temporary housing.
Right, and
They
then I
have
learned
that.
in the back of town, where the old police homes
Yes.
used to be,
Trip circle.
Trip
Right there.
Circle, they did that, and that's where people. So
Yeah.
this government has done some things, and they're just not loudly enough about it.
Right.
Sadly enough,
A lot of the bad things they're doing is
it's always
more
publicized,
right?
Yes,
Because
always.
bad news travels faster.
fast. Yes.
Yeah.
And one story stuck with me from years ago. And I'm not going to say which government did it, but the excessive spending they did to renovate a building, which should have been, only would take maybe $20,000, $30,000. They spent upwards over $100,000 to renovate this building. That's changing sheetrock, putting tar paper on top of the roof, and changing out the electrical. And they had the nerve to
Did.
publish that. And I was like, wow, ain't no God in that. Ain't no God. They all even shame.
Yeah. Exactly.
They be hiding it.
Exactly.
And to piggyback over something you said, yeah, we the voters need to hold them accountable by our character, right?
Yeah.
If we vote according to the word of God, our Christian belief, if we vote
Right.
better than that or hold them accountable, then they would do better.
Yeah.
But sadly enough, we put our Christianity aside,
yeah.
all our beliefs aside,
Yes.
for our colors. We put down our cross
Yeah.
and we put on our red or our
Yeah.
gold. Jesus
So-
like gonna pick you up afterwards.
So we should not vote for non-Christians.
Now, I'm not saying that.
No,
We
I'm
should-
asking. What do you think about
We have to
if
vote
you?
because if
Do
you
you-
look at this,
yeah.
you look at Saul, right? God never wanted Saul for king,
Right.
The people wanted Saul,
Right. He gave the people. What
and
they
he gave the
wanted.
people what they want. So he told the people to follow Saul. He didn't say people
Yeah.
go against
Well, I
Saul.
didn't ask you about God.
And so
yeah,
if God
talking
tells us
about
to
you,
vote
like you
or follow the leaders,
person.
yes, I vote.
No,
I
you
vote.
have to follow whoever is there. But I'm saying, is that a prerequisite for you in terms of when you're voting? You look at if the person. I think we should look at the character.
The character, that's what I look
Of the
at.
person.
The character. As
But
much as they show
look
us.
at the color of their shirts. We go based on the color of the shirt.
Yeah, because we
But I
gangs.
think the
we
character
gangs.
of the person, yeah, it should be
Paramount. Yes,
paramount.
yes. And boy, there's a good. Some of these politicians, people who put themselves up for voting, they're such good actors. They could go in Hollywood.
No, but
Because
I think some of them, if they know themselves, they should not put themselves up.
What can stop them?
But you know you're an awful person.
But I wear the right color. You see what I'm saying? So what can stop them? The people can rally behind them because they wearing the red or the gold. And it don't matter who. They say you put that color on a dog. I heard a voter say that. You put that color, I ain't going to say which one. You put that color on a dog, I'll vote for the dog before I vote for the other person. That's what they say. And they mean that. They cannot see no wrong in their colors. So here we are wanting to hold the government to a moral standard, good moral standard, when we don't even have it. We wouldn't even adhere to it. So the church and state, I guess we got to try to implement it in ourselves first before we try to put it into the government. Because we just funny. We just weird as the people said. We weird bad.
We wear it bad. Wow. And he's saying I'm not agreeing with you. We're not. But I think we have, as a country, we have youth on our side. And we have the fact that at the end of the day, it's, you have countries, if I were to use a person, if the Bahamas was a person, right? To me, it would be a person who generally has a moral conscience.
Yeah.
If who strays sometimes, I would say, but who has a moral conscience?
Yeah, we like that same person you're describing. I'd say, yeah, they almost save. They almost save.
Exactly.
They almost save. They're right there, but they almost save. They're on the cusp. They're on the cusp. They're almost there. One more move and they might be safe. But then again, too, they also one more move and they might be further away too.
That's true.
So it depends on like you say, these same Gen Z who. So anyway.
And I guess because as a country we have youth on our side.
Yes.
In another 25 to 50 years, don't ask me what our country. I worry for what our country would look like morally in another 25 years.
Yes, because we're slipping. We're slipping. We're allowing a lot of the things from the north to influence us.
Yes, because technology has opened up the borders.
Yes.
It has, and so there aren't any boundaries, any moral boundaries anymore.
Not at all.
And
not
so, we're totally naked.
Yeah. I sometimes just hang my head down in shame, and I thank the Lord that I'm out of that scene.
Yeah.
That I don't have to go there and pick from this pool because I'm wary for my children because I like Jesus.
Yes.
This is what y'all got to deal with. This is what y'all got to contend with. And it's like, because they've seen it happening over us yonder, they want that here.
Yeah.
And they want to give away or do away with the moral fabric that we had. And they're doing it.
Because they crave a freedom
Yeah.
that morality doesn't allow.
Yes.
But the sad thing is, what people need to understand is the price of freedom.
Oh, yeah.
And then you will never be free from the consequences of your choices.
That's right.
So that will hit later because people will, psychologists will tell you that people will go for the immediate satisfaction.
Yes.
More than delayed gratification.
Yes.
So.
And you know what they're saying? A lot of they want to try to get you to believe this. Oh, I shouldn't be held by my past.
Yeah.
It shouldn't count. What I did in the past was in the past. And they're really trying to push that narrative, And I like, really, when you got a job actually looking into your past as the reason why I shouldn't hire you, don't think that will translate into every other area of your life. But our neighbors to the north is pushing that narrative, and we have people over here now wants to think that they can get away with that same type of mentality.
Right.
That okay, we're free to do whatever we want, and I'm not going to have to pay for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what people want. Just
Yeah.
freedom to just do whatever they want. It doesn't matter what that is.
Yes, and they don't realize that the guardrails, what was set around them,
For a
wasn't.
purpose.
It was there for a purpose. It was preventing them from the cliff that's on the other
Exactly.
side of the guardrail. You
Exactly.
see, they thinking that it was there to hold me down and prevent me from, stop me from doing this, but it was actually to prevent you from the fall,
Exactly.
which will definitely follow your decision.
Right.
And that's what a lot of the laws supposed to do.
True.
So, and these laws came from, a lot of them derived from Christian values. So I am hoping that they do not try to change it. Even though we say we have a separation of church and state,
Is this
we
the wrap
know,
up?
we know, I guess it is, I guess it is.
Yeah.
So I guess, okay, I'll save Matt for my wrap up.
Okay, well, mine is going to be very brief. I don't know, I hear a little echo laugh in the background. I'm not sure what that is. But yes, I want to say I'm glad that the church still has a profound influence on how our government does business. And it has an immense influence on the Constitution, whether we like to accept it or not, based on, Jason said, there's no separation of church and state. But I'm happy for the influence. And I pray that will always be in place.
Yes.
And as a people, we have to make sure that the laws that are being passed, new laws,
Yes.
that they follow a certain moral pattern that we want the future, our children, to be guided by, and that's very, very important.
Yes. So, in my wrap up, our separation of church and state, air quotes, I agree that we do have an influence on it, and I would want a little bit more, but with that wanting more, we might lose. So let me just satisfy with what we have. But as the government runs the country, I would love for our Christian council to remain in place and just try to garner that support they had in the past. So the Christian council will be the conscience of the government.
Yes.
So yeah, we could give them their separation of church and state, but make sure the Christian council has teeth to influence the government. And then we as a people, we got to make sure hold these governments accountable. I don't want to go into it because the silly season has started, and I'm sure we're going to have enough topic on it, so I ain't going to stray into that.
Oh, we will?
I'm sure we will talk about it. We will be talking about it.
Oh, we will. He's going to have a guest.
Oh, yeah, no, because some people ain't want to talk about it because they scared their color's going to show through their conversation. But anyway, in my wrap
color
up.
is white.
Wrap up.
Purity of heart.
Separation of church and state. I'm happy for our influence on our laws, and I pray that it continues. And y'all, Gen Z, don't go there trying to change nothing. In fact, just add some more into it, okay? This has been Let's Talk. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same place, Lord's willing. Peace.